All right, it's 7:15 on the dot. You know what that means. I'm Fox 19 now, First Alert Meteorologist Brad Maushart, and it's the time for the 7:15 weather show. And, if you've been paying attention, I told you last night we'd have some storms. They would probably wake you up at awful hours of the night, and that's exactly what happened. We saw some storms rolling through, I think, close to downtown around 3 in the morning. A lot of lightning, a lot of bark, not a lot of bite. Some areas did pick up some much-needed rainfall, but as you can see here behind me, we have started to clear back out, and we're on our way to a really great Thursday evening. Unfortunately, it is just a brief reprieve from the stormy weather because things do pick up again as we work our way into Friday. Friday will be a first alert weather day because not only are we going to see some rain and some storms, and yeah, that's impactful, but some of these storms could be on the strong side, especially south of the river tomorrow into Kentucky and southeast of downtown into our Ohio communities down towards Adams and Highland County and so on. We'll talk more about those details coming up in just a second. How about this? This got updated out there this morning. Let's start off with something boring. How about that? That'll get them. The drought monitor has been updated, and as you can see, and as expected, with another mostly dry week. Now, this does not take into effect any of the rainfall we saw outside this morning. So with that, the drought has expanded everybody in the tri-state now under at least an abnormally dry category there. Abnormally dry conditions for everybody in the bright yellow. That brown shaded area, though, from Highland County all the way back down almost to Williamstown, that is the moderate drought, and it has expanded. This was only, remember, just a little sliver of Adams County, just west of Portsmouth. It now includes a good chunk there, maybe about a quarter of the tri-state under moderate drought-like conditions. Now, we saw some beneficial rainfall in these areas today. Here's the rain totals, rain accumulation. This was estimated by radar. Now, the radar estimates from this morning, what you're looking at here, compared to the actual reports, it's been undershooting a lot of that, so you might add another quarter inch onto some of this. But anywhere in the light green shaded, everybody saw some rain. I mean, that's the amazing part. Just about everybody saw at least a few sprinkles, even Fayette and Union counties. You didn't get a ton up there, but you got some help. But everywhere in the light green is at least an estimated 1/2 inch. And probably closer to 3/4 of an inch because, again, the estimates have been a little bit under what was actually reported at many of these sites. Blue shaded areas, that first initial shade of blue that you can see in a few spots down there in northern Kentucky, that is an estimated 1 inch plus of rainfall. We'll call it 1.25 to almost 1.5 inches in a few of those spots. So a lot of areas got dinged pretty good by rain, and we needed it. Here are the official totals that we picked up over some co-op sites and the official reports. And International Airport picked up almost 1 inch of rain. So that superseded my expectations when it comes to rainfall. Because last night I was calling for about 1/4 to 1/2 inch with an isolated amounts a little higher than that. But this was a little bit more widespread, and that's good because we needed the rain. Didn't need it all at once per se, but we'll take it, especially if it's in the middle of the night. Unfortunately, we do have another round of storms that will be coming in tomorrow, and we'll talk about that. First Alert Weather Day coming up in just a second. Today's weather number is our rainfall total, 0.91 inches. That's our biggest rainfall total that we've seen in about a month, and our 12th biggest of the year. The last time we saw anything significant, really, when the rainfall department over close to an inch or at least higher than this total was back on August the 5th, so almost exactly a month ago. And on August the 5th, we picked up 1.25 inches. The biggest rainfall one-day total so far this year is back on July the 20th, where the airport picked up almost 3 inches of rainfall. So wasn't record-breaking, wasn't even a top 10, but it was beneficial. We'll call it a top 10 in our hearts because we needed it to help battle those drought-like conditions. My lawn, I walked out this morning, and outside of the few leaves that had blown off, it looked a little greener already. So hopefully it'll help out. We have another round of storms and rain on the way. Some of this is going to be beneficial. Some of it will not. The rain, we'll take it, but unfortunately some of these storms, just based on the timing of the front that's going to be sweeping on through, it's moved up a little bit into Friday evening instead of more so through the overnight hours, and what that means is there will be some ample fuel for this next storm system to work with, and that means stronger storms. So the Storm Prediction Center has put out a marginal risk. I'll show that to you in a second. For about half of the tri-state and our southeasternmost communities where we need the most help in the drought-like conditions, you are under a slight risk for severe weather. This, in terms of timing, is going to be starting Friday evening, right around 6 to 7 o'clock at the earliest. We'll see some storms popping up with some daytime heating. Those storms will subside after midnight or so. They'll lose their fuel source, the daytime heating, and then the storm, at least the severe threat, will start to fall apart through the overnight hours into early Saturday morning. But the rain is going to hang on. It's going to stick with us probably up until about midday or so Saturday. First half of Saturday looks kind of lousy. Some areas could see some flooding, especially southeast of town. I know it's weird talking about a drought and how we need some help, and then you don't want this kind of help. It's too much help. But yeah, we could see some hefty rainfall totals there southeast of town, so we'll keep an eye on that into Saturday morning as this front slides away. Here is the severe weather risk put out by the Storm Prediction Center, and again for our area in particular, about half of us, including right up to about downtown, under that marginal risk. That's a low-end threat, but not a zero threat. We've seen what marginal risk can do around here before, especially this time of the year. Slight risk, a 2 out of 5 is in place. Pretty much Mason, Robertson, all of those counties there, almost all those communities. Adams County, southeastern Brown County, and a little bit of Bracken County, but not a ton. That yellow shaded area down to the southeast. Like I said, all threats will be on the table with this severe weather tomorrow. So we're catching a little bit of a lull now. Enjoy it while it lasts, because it will not last long with that next storm system lurking. Let's hop down to the tropics. Speaking of things heating up. Look at this. This is likely to become Gabrielle, our next storm, within the next 2 to 3 days. I would hesitate to say it's going to take any longer than that. And you can see why. I mean, this storm it's been forming, slowly developing the last couple of days. National Hurricane Center has a 90% chance on this storm developing within the next 5 days. So almost certainly going to be Gabrielle. And unfortunately, with the latest model trends, you can see we're kind of talking this. The outlook for this generally means that anywhere within this bubble, you could see the center of the storm. In a perfect scenario, this curved up a little bit yesterday. You'd want this storm to take a track that takes it, near Puerto Rico and then start to curve north and do exactly what the previous storm did, right? And miss both the U.S. and Bermuda. This storm is staying a little bit farther south. That means it has a higher likelihood now of at least, at best case scenario, impacting Puerto Rico, the Antilles here, maybe the Bahamas. At worst, it could continue due west, make its way into the open Caribbean waters, and kind of slide back here somewhere, and that's what you don't want because that's a higher likelihood of a U.S. impact or a landfall. So we'll keep an eye on this. No immediate impacts with this storm, but something to keep an eye on because this will likely, like I said, become Gabrielle here pretty soon, within the next couple of days as it slides westward. Still about, at the earliest, about 5 to 7 days away from any real impacts to any kind of landfall. United States impact long ways out, so something to keep an eye on as we continue to track that storm off of the west. As always, if anybody ever has any questions here, I'm going to be trying to keep an eye on some of the comments. Weather tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning, JD, it is going to be crisp. It's going to be very crispy, and you can see right here tomorrow morning those temperatures taking a nosedive back into the mid-50s. Now, they're not going to stay there long. If you wear the jacket outside early tomorrow morning, you are not going to have the jacket on long because a warm front will quickly lift in, and that is going to quickly push these temperatures back up into the mid-80s tomorrow afternoon, if not the upper 80s in a few spots. And where we do hit the upper 80s, those storm chances are going to be highest in those communities because that is going to be ample thunderstorm fuel. Tomorrow, again, jacket early, not for long. Mid-40s in a few spots, mid-50s elsewhere. Few clouds, that's it. Mostly sunny skies. Another interesting facet of tomorrow morning is that aloft, and meteorologist Aaron Ashley pointed this out, we're going to have some wildfire smoke hanging out. Here's a color table. You don't see too much. Let me back this up and slow it down just a little bit for you. But we do have the potential to see some more wildfire smoke aloft drifting in. You can see where it's kind of trickling out of. If I move this map a little bit, hold on. Let's see. So that other storm system, you can see it's coming right out of British Columbia, the Pacific Northwest, right? That's where the smoke is going to be the heaviest and the thickest aloft. But that storm system up here to our northeast, hold please as I try to find my low. So that's the first low that drifted on through. We have another low that's going to be spinning our way tomorrow, right? And they're going to help essentially to funnel this air aloft right over the Ohio Valley. Those arrows almost worked. So we're going to see that sitting right over top of the tri-state. Whoop, maybe tomorrow morning. Maybe we'll hop back. Now the graphics are just messing up. With the smoke this thick aloft, you're probably going to notice it at sunrise. Sunrise tomorrow, 7-11. Easy to remember with that one. You're going to notice kind of a milky sky in the morning, and with how thick it is, there's a slim chance you might smell it a little bit. Some of that smoke might make it down to the surface, but very, very little. And a really bad scenario, maybe they could decrease the air quality just a little bit, but again, this is not going to be like a surface level smoke or haze. It's mostly going to be aloft. You'll notice kind of a milky sky. I know this camera, when I'm looking at it, it's actually blue, and by the way, there's the moon here behind me if you can see that. Let me see if you can see that. You can kind of see it right here. You'll notice, this is kind of overshot because the camera looking at a TV screen, but, it's going to be more white than a blue sky tomorrow morning. You're going to notice that. That's pretty much the worst in terms of the smoke tomorrow. Maybe a little smoky smell, we'll see. But that doesn't happen here often. A lot of this is just going to be riding through the jet stream and aloft. By late tomorrow evening, that smoke starts to go away, and then we have to contend with the storms. And here's why we're going to see them. Abby asking about Saturday. Don't worry, I'm going to get there in just a second because we do have UC's home opener over at Nippert Stadium on Saturday. Jeff asking about tomorrow. We're going to talk more about that in just a second. And are we going to have severe weather in Mainville? There's always that possibility, right? Now, specifically, the worst of the severe weather is going to be well south of downtown, right, into our Kentucky community. So Mainville, kind of just northeast of Lebanon here on this particular map. So, right, it's, I believe, Warren County. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure they will. But Mainville sitting up here just northeast of Lebanon. So, again, going back to that severe weather risk map real quick, you can see... Hold please while this loads in real time. I'll even zoom in right over Mainville. And you are not technically under the severe weather threat. So there's Mainville. We'll zoom out and show you that again, the center of the screen is on Mainville. Kind of right, whoop. Oh, let's see. I don't know what this is labeling. Oh, it's labeling roads. Let's try something else. This is what happens when I try to do this stuff on the fly. Let's do a city label and Mainville. There it is. All right, so on the map, you are not in the severe weather threat for tomorrow, Bev. But don't be surprised if things go favorably for the bad weather, unfavorably for us. Basically, if it gets a little warmer tomorrow in your neighborhood, then we could definitely see that slight risk or the marginal risk expand a little bit farther to the northwest. So something we'll keep an eye on. What you do have a threat for, even if your severe weather threat is very low, you do have a threat for some rain and storms tomorrow. Rising sun, that's another question that just came in here. Rising sun, right down there. You are on the fringe of this marginal risk, right? Green shaded area. You are in it. So again, just a slim chance, but not a zero chance. Hamilton, rain showers tomorrow. So this is going to be the questions that are going to keep on coming in. It's going to be for individual communities. So on this map here, let me zoom back out, and we'll get rid of Mainville there so everybody else pops back up. Generally around and south of downtown tomorrow is where we're going to see the best chances for any kind of severe storms. Everybody has a chance to see some rain and storms though tomorrow. Just the biggest chances are going to be where temperatures are going to be the warmest. And here's what we're talking about temperature-wise tomorrow afternoon. Same area. Let's see. Pop up faster. There we go. So to the northwest, temperatures are going to be much cooler, right? It's going to be a sharp temperature gradient from the mid-70s in Connorsville to the mid to upper 80s in Maysville. So warmer temperatures is more thunderstorm fuel, essentially, right? So the warmer it is, the more fuel these storms are going to have to work with. That's why the chances are going to be higher around and southeast generally of downtown. Hey, Jeff, I fixed it. Jeff is asking. He's talking trash. I'm looking at you, Jeff. Hold on. Jeff, I fixed it. Okay, so here's what was going on. Jeff and I, a couple weeks ago, we could not find Greenfield on the map. I had no idea where it went, and we were trying to talk and describe the location. Hold, please, because I have to show you that this actually got fixed. It was, for whatever reason, it wasn't even the right state. I don't know what was going on with it, but I did update this. And now you will see, as I zoom in over here on Highland County, Greenfield pops up on the map. I don't know what was going on. Sometimes these labels get a little wonky. and they don't want to be in the right spot. But Greenfield, and now he's probably going to come on and tell me that's not where Greenfield is. I changed it, so now Greenfield is there. So it has returned to the map. All right, let's get back to the regularly scheduled nonsense. All right, let's get back here. It is there, Jeff, I promise. It will always be there now for severe weather. By the way, if anybody else notices their town is in the wrong spot or missing, just let me know, because sometimes, like I said, this weather computer, the database they use for the towns is sometimes off. I mean, some things are just off sometimes. Sometimes things will show up, like a township will show up as a town on there. So always open to any of those critiques. Those are always great, because I'd love to have an accurate map on here. Sometimes things are just a little bit off. Or in Greenfield's case, way out, and I don't remember where it was. I think it was in eastern Ohio. I don't know if it got mixed up with a township or what. Another question coming in from Darla. Hope you're having a great Thursday evening. I am. It's fantastic because I slept through all the mess. Working this shift, I did not have to drive in the morning rain, so hopefully things weren't too bad out there. An eclipse and dots in the sun. Have you heard anything about this? I have not. Unless maybe it's a lunar eclipse or something. I have not heard anything on that. I'll have to look into it. Dots on the sun would be probably sunspots. Let's see. See if anything pops up when I search for this. Let's see if anything is happening anytime soon. I don't think so. 82-minute blood moon. When is this happening? So there's another lunar eclipse. So lunar eclipses, they happen a lot. They happen more often, if I'm not mistaken, than solar eclipses, right? They're more common. And they're a lot more boring, unfortunately, than a solar eclipse. It looks like September 7th and September 8th. We will have our longest, oh wait, this is 20, nope, okay. It'll be the longest total lunar eclipse since 2022, with a totality that lingers around 1 hour and 22 minutes. So what happens in a lunar eclipse, unlike the sun where it completely goes away and everything gets dark and crazy, these only happen when it's dark outside. And the moon just turns red, like a blood red color, right? To me, yeah, it's cool. Is it worth staying up until whenever this happens? I don't know. Because once you've seen one, you kind of seen it all. Let's see. It happens when the Earth passes between the sun and the moon in a straight line. Red tinge. Let's see. I'm trying to figure out when this is. They're burying the story on me. It was 7th and 8th, but I'm trying to find a time. Let's see. Lunar eclipse time, the 7th and 8th. And that, if you're wondering, would be Sunday into Monday, and the weather will be fantastic for that. So this is definitely going to be something we could see, and I'll thank you for pointing this out, so I'll make sure to talk about this later on this weekend, because I'm filling in Sunday night. Let's see, Sunday, different times varying on location. Let's see, when to see it. This is going to take me the next 25 minutes to find this, apparently. Let's see. I'm just trying to find it. Different website here. When to see it. Let's try Cincinnati, Ohio. Next lunar eclipse. No. Well, this one has it a long time from now. Why does it have it? Okay, I'm going to have to look more into this. Now I'm getting conflicting information that says the next lunar eclipse is 180 days away. So, yeah, we'll see. It says there's another one on March the 3rd, so maybe we can't see it in Cincinnati. Maybe that's what it is. We'll check on that. So that's probably what you were hearing about in terms of an eclipse or dots on the sun. Dots on the sun are more what I think of sunspots. So we'll. Yeah, Jeff, it took me a while to figure it out. So we were talking about Greenfield again. Jeff was bringing up Greenfield, and it took me a while. It was really bothering me, so I finally found it, and it wasn't even in Ohio or something. It was really weird. All right, let's get back to this, because we do have a threat tomorrow. Back to it, right? We go right from having fun right back to severe risk. Here's where chances are going to be the highest for severe weather tomorrow. Let me make this a little fuller screen so you can see what's going on. How about we hit it with the old cross zoom? low risk for tornadoes overall. We cannot rule them out tomorrow, so that is something we definitely have to keep a very close eye on. Roughly the southern half of the tri-state does have a slimmest of risks for a tornado tomorrow, just a 2% chance. Hail up to an inch is possible, and that's again going to be in just the severe storms. Same with damaging wind. Now, outside of the storms tomorrow, there will still be wind gusts over 25 to 30 miles an hour. I mean, it's going to be a windy day. Once that warm front lifts through, it's going to be pretty breezy out there. And I told you that yesterday before the severe threat even ramped up, is that we were going to see a breezy day. That was very apparent for Friday football. But now we have that severe threat too. So here's a little better look at it. 6, 7 o'clock, storms start to fire up. In our southernmost communities, if you have high school football, if you're planning on heading to any of these events tomorrow night, be very safe out there. We could see some disruptions. Obviously, when thunder roars, go indoors. If you manage any of these sporting events, at high schools, you're the athletic director and you're watching tonight. Again, not a high-end threat for severe weather, but you'll definitely want to have your plan, polished up before you put people in the stadiums tomorrow night, especially down south of town. Typically, we don't have to worry too much about that in the fall season, right? A lot of people think of severe weather as happening in the spring only. That's not true. Severe weather is possible in these transition periods, and spring is a transition period. We're going from cold to very warm in the summer. Same with right now. We're going from very warm back to a cooler time of the year, and with that we have kind of what we call a second season here in the Ohio Valley, which is, we could see some strong storms as they roll on through, especially when you see the temperatures, up and down. So with that, just make sure to have your plans in place. If hopefully your stadium's close enough where you can tuck everybody back inside if possible, if anything terrible happens. Again, it's a low-end threat, but it's not a zero threat, so it's always good to be prepared for those scenarios. 6 to 7 o'clock, right around kickoff, is where these storms are going to start to fire up. Most of the tri-state will not be seeing rainfall at this time. More of us than not, the storms are going to be primarily south of town. Same with the 8 to 9 o'clock time frame. They do start to extend a little bit further north, and you can see by 8 o'clock, storms becoming a little bit more widespread in that severe weather risk area. And then by the time we hit 9 o'clock, too many buttons, the storms are still pushing primarily through our southernmost communities, but we could see storms as far north as Mainville, it's Clinton County. So again, you're not going to be rain-free, but the best chances for stronger storms are going to be down there to the south, where temperatures are going to be a little bit warmer and where these storms are going to have more fuel to work with. We'll catch a little bit of a lull late Friday night, and then early Saturday morning, things start to pick back up area-wide. So everybody has a chance for rain, but at this point, working our way through early Saturday morning, once that sun starts to set, these storms are already going to get cut off a little bit from a fuel source, right? They're going to start to weaken. They're going to fuel on the daytime heating. When the sun goes down, storm threat starts to wrap up a little bit. Now, not going to be storm-free. Saturday morning, we could still see some storms out there. So if you're getting an early start to set up for UC Hall, first home opener, first game of the season at home at Nippert Stadium, if you're getting ready for that, early, you might run into some rain, some soggy ground, because rain will be pushing through. And we'll hang on to those showers in a lot of areas until about midday, and then we do start to dry back out. The later we get in the day on Saturday, the better the weather's going to be. And in time for kickoff, it does look dry for the UC home opener. So things do look nice. But early Saturday morning and early Saturday afternoon down to the southeast, we could still be seeing some heavy rain down there, and that is why we have a little bit of a flooding threat. If the end of these storms start to train and go over the same area, we could have some flash flooding issues. Most of that is dry by Friday. Again, outside of a lingering light shower in our southeasternmost communities Friday afternoon, we're all drying out. It's going to be much cooler again, very similar to what we're seeing outside right now. And then Sunday, Monday, both look great. Nice big gap in the forecast here. You can see that high pressure builds back in, makes things chilly. Our next chance for a spotty shower there on Wednesday, but the overall trend as this area of high pressure pushes east is going to be a big warming trend. After that spotty shower chance Wednesday, and that's the only other chance for rain in the forecast, temperatures are going up and up. And the middle of September, I haven't updated this graphic. Let me see. I don't know if I have it sitting around for easy access here. Here's the temperature outlook. It's there. Whatever it says on here is probably going to be wrong because I haven't put the little things on there. But here's the 8 to 14-day temperature outlook for the entire country. And you can see the Ohio Valley, much of the Great Plains, upper Midwest here, all going to be seeing above or well above normal temperatures. That includes Cincinnati. Above normal means mid-80s, probably upper 80s. Can't rule that out. Through September 12th to the 18th. If you're keeping tabs on those dates, that is the 12th being next Friday, right? Next Saturday, the 13th, FC Cincinnati is back. Next Sunday, the 14th, is the Bengals home opener. And we, in the forecast, and our 10-day forecast does go out the next Sunday. You'll see. I'll show it to you here in a second, but I know it says below. That's the part I was worried about was still going to be in there. I didn't update that part. Everything else is right. But above normal temperatures are expected there through the month. Let's talk about rainfall totals, because here's some more beneficial news. Outside of the storm chances, if we can avoid most of the worst of these storms, this is the one beneficial part we're going to see to the storms tomorrow. We've got a lot of rainfall to help us with those drought-like conditions. Remember where I showed you the drought monitor at the start of the show? I said we're going to start off with something boring. The worst of it is down to the southeast, and this is where we're going to see the heaviest rainfall total. So a little bit of relief heading your way from Highland County back down towards Owenton. That light green shade is an estimated half-inch plus. The blue shade is an estimated inch plus of rainfall coming to Bracken and Mason counties. Southern Brown County could be seeing some hefty rainfall totals. Obviously, we have to watch for flooding, but that is the beneficial part of the storm. Let's go to something more fun. How about this? Not yet, next weekend. Bearcats, home opener over at Nippert Stadium Saturday at 3:30. Tailgating, yeah, we could see a shower trying to hang on, but overall a really nice forecast for this. Nice and comfy, crisp outside Saturday afternoon. Not going to get much better than that. I mean, mostly sunny skies outside. Temperatures in the mid to upper 60s. High temperature tops out at about 71, 72 both days this weekend. Really nice. And all that rain, it's an early threat. Yes, Saturday morning's plans, I'm sorry if you have them. They do look a little soggy, especially southeast of town. But the later we get in the day Saturday, the better the weather's going to be. And here is what I'm talking about for next Sunday. Next Sunday is the Bengals home opener. Look at that. 85 degrees. Chad Ocho Cinco degrees for the home opener next Sunday. It's going to be really warm. Not football weather at all. We'll see. 10 days out in Cincinnati, a lot of things can always change, right? We'll see what happens. We could have another cold front that comes through. That tropical system could roll up and maybe pull in some cooler air by that time frame. It's a long ways out, but right now the overall trend is up in the next weekend, back to summer-like feel. Somebody was asking me the other day, they made a bet with somebody that we'd hit 85 again before the end of the year, and I think they have $20 riding on it. I told him, I'm like, I think it's a pretty safe bet. I think you're going to make $20. We'll see. 85's in the forecast. Good chance for that. Here's the actual forecast. Let's go ahead. I don't know. How do you want to transition this? How about a roller door? I found that the transitions in this software yesterday, they've been sitting right in front of my big stupid face, and I see them now. And now I have to transition different ways rather than just the old fade. So that was the roller door. Chime in now and tell me what your favorite transition is, and I'll use that more often. Let's see. Thank you. Got another. I'm just reading some comments here while this pops in. Game 3, yeah, they got a Friday, Saturday, Sunday series against the Mets. Baseball season's over to next spring. Here, a Red Sox fan, but I do want to see the Reds do well also. Yes, that is Sam chiming in about the Reds' 3-game series. You can see it right there on the forecast. I mean, they have to win these 3. They're, 5 games out of a wild card spot. The next team up to them is the Mets. And we have a magical opportunity with the Mets coming to our house in this 3-game series to sweep them. We'll see what happens. But yeah, they need to win. Jags versus Bengals next Sunday. Yes, that is about ready to pop up on the screen right now as we extend this to 10 days. Who's noticed or didn't notice that we now have a 10-day forecast? There's your 10-day forecast. All the way out to Chad Ocho Cinco degrees Sunday. Bengals home opener is next Sunday there. Mostly sunny, if not a few clouds. It looks dry for now. Again, that's 10 days out. Things can change. But generally right now looks like a summer-like day. Looks more like, one of those preseason games. hopefully play more of the starters in the preseason games out there. Cleveland again this weekend. Straight chance for a shower storm on Sunday, but most of it looks pretty comfy up there around the lake. But back here next Sunday, home opener, the 14th of September, 85 degrees. So a mild stretch ahead. We have to get through the stormy weather tomorrow into early Saturday. That is why it's pulsing red right in your face there. You can see it in your face. That is the first alert weather day. And we'll start to ramp things up talking about this tonight at 10 and 11 o'clock because this time of the year, there's a ton of people that are always out doing something, right? How about this transition? How about a fly? Woo, fly it in. Weather outside this, there's always a ton of outdoor events this time of the year between Oktoberfest, and I had them all written down on my other sheet yesterday, but I think it's Loveland, Newport, somebody else in Kentucky has a Oktoberfest. I don't think it's Covington yet. I think that's next weekend. But yeah, working our way through the middle of September, it's looking pretty warm out there. And of course, not too long from now, once we work our way past this 10-day and into the following week, that's Oktoberfest Cincinnati. And it's always kind of a, kind of hit and miss on what you're going to get for Oktoberfest Cincinnati around here. Sometimes it's like that, where it's just really just atrociously hot. Or you get really lucky, like what we've seen the last couple of days, up until this rain and storm activity arrived last night, where it's just super comfy outside. So we'll see what we get a couple weeks from now. Don't forget, before you leave me, and before I go eat food, because I can feel the stomach grumbling, don't forget, you can give me a follow, a like, whatever you do on Instagram, thumbs up, pictures, I don't know. Follow me on the social media. It would be great. I just recently surpassed 21,000 gluttons for punishment on Facebook of bad jokes and bad news. If you'd like to jump on that, that is how to find me and how to spell my name. I know it's weird. I should have rebranded a long time ago just a Bad News Brad across the board, but I think a couple of these were already taken, so that angers me. On Twitter /X, it's BRAAA 3ASD weather. I don't get on there all that much, to be honest with you. But I do post, some severe weather stuff and some other things from time to time. And then Instagram's more personal stuff. Who knows? Usually it's me drinking coffee or eating something. Maybe you'll see a picture of whatever I find to eat tonight. Or maybe I'll take a picture of this blue Gatorade out of the company vending machine and put it on there. I don't know. But you can follow me on any of that. It would be much appreciated because it boosts my ego, and it makes me feel very happy inside. All right. Thank you. I will try to have a great dinner. Thank you guys for tuning in. As usual, let me throw the 7-day up here for another 5 seconds so you can check that out. Hold, please. And there's your 7 to 10-day forecast. I'm going to, I don't know, what do I want to do this time? Cross-zoom it into the forecast there. Enjoy the weekend. Outside of Saturday morning, things look good, but we do have to get through that bumpy stretch late tomorrow night. If you're going to high school football, be safe. There will be storms out and about that time of the year, and then the rest of the weekend looks fantastic. Nice dry stretch ahead, and a big warming trend into Bengals home opener weekend. Enjoy your night, everybody.